You are in the grocery store, right? And you're holding two identical apples. I mean, one is conventional and the other is organic, but it costs almost twice as much.
Right, the classic produce aisle dilemma.
Exactly. But what if I told you that the organic apple might actually have been sprayed with pesticides more frequently than the conventional one?
It is a wild thought,
Yeah.
and definitely not what most people expect when they pay that premium.
Not at all. So today we are taking a deep dive into the research on organic versus conventional farming. Our mission is to tear past the marketing labels, get out of the grocery store aisle, and figure out what is actually happening in the dirt.
Yeah, we really need to look at the mechanics of how our food is grown and, the real impact on the environment.
And most importantly, how you can make the smartest choices for your health and your wallet. Okay, let's unpack this because I went into these sources assuming that the organic versus conventional debate was just, well, a modern marketing invention.
Oh, I totally get that. But looking at the agronomy, it's not just a label. It's a complete divergence in agricultural philosophy.
Right, it's a fundamental ground-up difference in the mechanics of how we feed the world.
Exactly. The labels on your food represent two radically different ways of interacting with the Earth's biology, managing resources, and, attempting to solve the ongoing puzzle of feeding a population of 8 billion people.
Which is no small task.
Definitely not. And understanding the core mechanisms behind these two approaches, like how they physically operate in the field, it empowers you to align your diet with your actual values, rather than just reacting to buzzwords on a sticker.
Yeah, the buzzwords get overwhelming. Before reading these sources, the problem with the conventional baseline, at least in my head, was that I pictured farming as some guy on an ancient tractor just indiscriminately dumping chemicals onto a field.
Right, that's the vintage postcard image everyone has.
But modern conventional farming, the system that currently produces the vast majority of food in the US and Canada, it's basically an outdoor manufacturing plant.
Oh, absolutely. The primary objective of conventional agriculture is just staggering efficiency. I mean, the goal is to produce massive, consistent yields to ensure widespread food security at an affordable price.
And to do that, they use some insane technology.
Yes, the industry has turned to an intense, highly engineered precision agriculture. A modern combine harvester or sprayer is essentially a rolling supercomputer connected to a network of satellites.
The analogy that really helped me visualize this precision tech from the sources is printing a photograph. When you use a modern inkjet printer, it doesn't just dump a bucket of ink onto the paper.
Right, it's incredibly precise.
Yeah, it calculates the exact microscopic drop of color needed for every specific millimeter of the image. That is what these conventional tractors are doing with synthetic fertilizer.
It's a perfect comparison. They use satellite imaging and soil sensors to map an entire field.
And as the tractor drives, it dynamically adjusts the flow rate of the fertilizer row, right?
Yeah.
Dropping the exact chemical payload required by that specific square foot of dirt.
Exactly. Which is a massive leap forward from how farming operated even 30 years ago. By mathematically optimizing every single input, water, seeds, nitrogen, phosphorus, farmers, maximize the biological output of the crop.
While drastically reducing the financial and environmental waste of overapplication. But that makes me wonder, if this system is so efficient and high-tech, why do we need an alternative at all?
Well, the catch is the nature of the inputs themselves. Conventional farming relies heavily on synthetic, artificially manufactured fertilizers.
And this is where we have to look at the mechanisms, because those synthetic fertilizers essentially act like an IV drip for the plants, don't they?
Yeah, that's exactly what they are. They're completely water-soluble. They bypass the complex biological web of the dirt entirely.
So they just deliver highly concentrated nutrients straight into the roots of the crop so it can grow as fast and as large as possible.
Right. But the problem with that IV drip is what happens to the environment over decades. If you only feed the plant directly with synthetic chemicals, the biological life in the dirt, the bacteria, the fungi, the earthworms, it literally starves.
Wow. So the soil eventually becomes just this structurally weak, empty sponge that just holds chemicals.
Yes. That phenomenon, the degradation of living soil, is exactly the problem the organic movement was formalized to solve.
So if conventional agriculture is about mastering chemistry and engineering to feed the plant,
Organic agriculture is about mastering ecology to feed the soil.
I want to break down how that physically works. To get an organic certification, farmers are strictly prohibited from using those synthetic IV drip fertilizers.
Correct, they are completely off the table.
So without them, how do you get nitrogen into a plant? I see terms like compost and natural amendments in our source material, but what is the actual mechanism underground?
It all comes down to microbial digestion. Synthetic nitrogen is instantly available to a plant, but organic compost, however, is largely insoluble.
Meaning a plant root can't just pull nitrogen directly out of a pile of decomposing leaves or manure.
Exactly. For the plant to get the nutrients it needs, it relies entirely on billions of microscopic soil bacteria and fungi to physically eat that organic matter.
Wait, really? The bugs do the eating?
Yeah. The microbes digest the compost and then excrete the nutrients in a chemical form that the plant roots can finally absorb.
That is wild. So conventional farming feeds the plant directly, organic farming feeds the bugs, and then waits for the bugs to feed the plant.
That sequence is the absolute foundation of organic farming. You are constantly trying to nurture the entire farming ecosystem. And, that philosophy extends to how organic farmers handle threats, too.
Right, like bugs and weeds.
Exactly. If an organic farmer faces an aphid infestation, they cannot reach for a broad-spectrum synthetic pesticide to instantly wipe out the bugs. They manage the ecology instead.
So instead of just wiping out pests with a chemical spray, organic farmers are essentially hiring nature's hitmen.
What's fascinating here is that they do exactly that. They plant specific companion flowers near the crops designed to attract predatory insects like ladybugs, utilizing biological pest management to naturally suppress the aphid population.
So you have these two incredible systems. One is this marvel of mathematical precision and chemical engineering, and the other is this complex, orchestrated reliance on soil microbiology and predatory insects.
It really is two completely different worlds.
But when I look at the actual harvest data in our sources, I am genuinely confused. If this organic soil is so incredibly rich, biologically active, and meticulously cared for, why is the overall harvest volume per acre significantly lower than conventional farming?
That's a great question. If the soil is so healthy, what is failing to grow, right?
Yeah, exactly. What gives?
Well, it's a matter of competition, timing, and bottlenecks. Take a conventional system. If weeds emerge, the farmer applies a highly effective synthetic herbicide to eliminate them.
So the cash crop faces zero competition for water or sunlight.
Exactly. But organic farmers cannot use synthetic herbicides, which means they constantly battle weeds that steal resources from the primary crop, stunting its potential yield.
That makes sense. And what about the timing aspect? You mentioned that organic farming relies on microbes to digest the compost into nitrogen.
Right, and the microbial digestion process is highly dependent on environmental conditions. Soil microbes need warmth and moisture to be active.
So if you have, say, a cold, wet spring.
Then the microbes are sluggish. And if your corn crop desperately needs a spike of nitrogen to jumpstart its growth, an organic system cannot deliver it fast enough.
Meanwhile, the conventional farmer just presses a button and delivers a water-soluble nitrogen spike regardless of the soil temperature.
Exactly. So organic farming is inherently more unpredictable. You are constantly at the mercy of the biological clock.
Which brings us back to that counterintuitive pesticide fact I mentioned at the very beginning.
Yes, the big organic myth.
The biggest aha moment in the research for me was realizing that the organic label does not mean pesticide-free. Organic farmers absolutely use sprays. They just have to use naturally derived, approved organic pesticides instead of synthetics.
Right. And the distinction between a natural pesticide and a synthetic one is crucial for understanding why organic farming is so labor-intensive.
How so?
Well, synthetic pesticides are manufactured in a lab with stable chemical bonds. They're designed to persist in the field just long enough to protect the crop with a single, highly efficient application.
Okay, and the natural ones?
Natural organic pesticides like copper sulfate or neem oil lack those heavily engineered stable bonds.
Meaning they break down much faster when exposed to rain or UV light from the sun.
Exactly the issue. Because the natural compounds degrade rapidly, an organic farmer often has to go out and spray their fields significantly more frequently or in higher total volumes.
Just to maintain the same level of pest protection over the course of a growing season?
Yes, exactly.
Wait, so the organic farmer might literally have to drive their tractor over the field more times to spray a natural chemical than the conventional farmer does to spray a synthetic one?
They often do. And that means burning more diesel fuel, creating more soil compaction and spending more money on labor.
Wow.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, that is the ultimate trade-off in the data. You are balancing a chemical compound derived from nature against a potential increase in mechanical labor and fuel emissions.
Right. We are constantly weighing the sheer efficiency of land and resource use in conventional systems against the chemical-free, long-term ecological sustainability of organic systems.
Yeah, and the land use is a huge factor. I mean, if we transitioned all global agriculture entirely to organic tomorrow, the drop in yield means we would physically have to clear more forests to create more farmland.
Just to produce the exact same amount of food we do today, that land use equation completely changes how I view the produce aisle.
It really does. We are balancing global landmass against soil longevity.
But this brings us to the most immediate question for the person who actually has to eat the food. If I'm standing at the register about to pay a massive premium for an organic bell pepper, does this complex soil biology and lack of synthetic chemicals actually change the nutritional profile of the food I am putting into my body?
Ah, the million-dollar question. Is organic genuinely healthier?
Exactly.
This is the question that drives the majority of organic sales, and researchers have spent decades running rigorous comparative studies.
And what do they say?
Well, the data from our sources reveals a reality that often frustrates dedicated organic shoppers.
Yeah.
When you break down the actual chemistry of the food, the nutritional differences between organic and conventional produce are generally modest.
Okay, we need to dig into the word modest
Hmm.
because I am paying double the price. What exactly am I getting for that premium?
Fair question.
Okay.
If you look at macronutrients, the carbohydrates, the proteins, the dietary fiber, they are virtually identical.
So a conventional apple and an organic apple deliver the same structural building blocks to your body.
Yes. Where the research does show a consistent, albeit slight, elevation in organic produce is in secondary plant metabolites, specifically antioxidants.
Really? Why would the farming method change the antioxidant levels? Does the compost create that?
It is actually a biological stress response.
Stress.
Yeah. Think of secondary metabolites like antioxidants as the plant's natural immune system. Primary metabolites are the sugars and proteins used for growth. Secondary metabolites are used for defense.
Oh, I see.
Because organic crops are not shielded by highly persistent synthetic pesticides, they experience a higher degree of stress from insect grazing and environmental pressures.
So that stress triggers the plant to defend itself, pumping out higher levels of antioxidant compounds to survive.
Precisely.
That is fascinating. The plant is essentially toughening itself up, and we absorb those defense compounds when we eat it. Here's where it gets really interesting, though.
How so?
Well, looking at the big picture, if the core nutritional difference is just a slight bump in antioxidants, while the fiber and vitamins remain largely the same, are we, as consumers, focusing our anxiety on the wrong thing?
That is a very valid concern.
I mean, if I skip buying fresh spinach entirely because the organic bundle is $5 and I feel guilty buying the $2 conventional bundle, I'm just eating zero spinach.
This raises an important question about consumer priorities. Nutrition scientists are universally aligned on this specific point. The vast majority of people in North America do not consume nearly enough fruits, vegetables, and whole grains.
Right, we're just not eating enough of the good stuff to begin with.
Exactly. The physiological health leap you experience by going from a diet with zero vegetables to a diet rich in conventional vegetables is astronomical. It fundamentally changes your health outcomes.
And the leap from a conventional vegetable diet to an organic vegetable diet.
It's a microscopic fraction of that benefit.
It sounds like getting caught up in the micro details of the labels is causing us to miss the macro reality of our diets. The objective is to make whole, minimally processed foods a regular, high-volume part of your everyday life.
Exactly.
If the efficiency and scale of conventional farming makes that financially sustainable for your family, then buying conventional produce is a profoundly healthy choice.
The human body requires the nutrients, not the narrative. However, while the direct personal health benefits might be modest, many consumers view that organic premium not as a health tax, but as an environmental investment.
Right. If the macronutrients are the same, the real justification for choosing organic lies in the health of the broader ecosystem. You are voting with your dollars to support a system that legally mandates crop rotation.
It reduces synthetic chemical runoff into local watersheds and actively builds the microbiological resilience of the topsoil.
And the organic movement deserves immense credit for proving that agriculture at scale can prioritize ecological health. But it's vital to recognize that conventional agriculture is not operating in a stagnant, unyielding bubble.
Oh, definitely not. The narrative that conventional farmers are happily degrading their land while organic farmers save the earth is an outdated oversimplification.
The sources make a big point of this. Conventional farmers are looking at the long-term data regarding their soil compaction and the degradation of their dirt, and they are realizing that the IV drip method alone is not viable for another 100 years.
No, it's not. So they are actively starting to borrow from the organic playbook.
Really? Like what?
We are witnessing an incredible convergence of these two philosophies in real time. Conventional farmers are rapidly adopting organic principles. They are planting complex cover crops in the winter off-season.
Oh, right, to trap atmospheric carbon and prevent erosion.
Yes. And naturally rebuild the organic matter in their soil. They're also utilizing no-till farming techniques to ensure the complex fungal networks underground are not destroyed by plows.
And the exchange goes both ways, doesn't it? Organic farmers are absolutely looking at conventional precision technology and realizing they can use it to enhance their natural systems.
Absolutely. An organic farm might use conventional drone surveillance to map the exact moisture levels across 100 acres, allowing them to perfectly optimize their irrigation and conserve millions of gallons of water.
So the ultimate future of global agriculture does not rely on one system defeating the other in some ideological turf war.
No, the most resilient, sustainable path forward is total integration. We desperately need the soil-building biology, the ecological wisdom, and the biodiversity of organic farming principles.
But seamlessly powered by the satellite-guided precision, the water conservation tech, and the sheer high-yield efficiency of conventional farming.
Perfectly said.
So, as a listener trying to navigate the grocery store, you do not have to choose a side. Both methods have distinct mechanical strengths, they both face significant logistical challenges, and they are both constantly adapting to figure out how to keep food on our tables without bankrupting the planet.
Right. Your goal is simply to build a diet rich in a variety of plants, support local agriculture when your budget allows it, and eat as many fruits and vegetables as you can, regardless of the sticker on the skin.
Because the healthiest agricultural choice you can make for your body is consistency.
Yes, exactly.
But before we wrap up this deep dive, the source material leaves us with one massive, incredibly practical strategy that sidesteps the farm entirely.
Oh, yes. This is crucial.
We spend all this energy, anxiety, and money agonizing in the produce aisles over organic versus conventional. We debate the soil microbes, the drone technology, the nitrogen pathways, and the pesticide decay rates.
And we completely miss the bigger picture at home.
Exactly. What if the most powerful, sustainable choice you can make today has absolutely nothing to do with how the food was grown?
It is the ultimate blind spot in consumer behavior. The sources emphasize a metric that completely dwarfs the environmental differences between farming methods, and that is food waste.
Food waste, because think about the compounding resources required to produce a single apple.
Right. It requires gallons of fresh water, agricultural labor, diesel fuel for the tractors, electricity for the packing facilities.
And fossil fuels for the refrigerated trucks that transport it across the country to your local grocery store.
Exactly. And all of that ecological cost is baked into the fruit before you even buy it.
So it does not matter if that apple was grown with a highly calibrated 5V drip of synthetic nutrients, or if it was painstakingly cultivated by an army of soil microbes in a perfectly balanced organic ecosystem.
It really doesn't. If you bring it home, leave it in the bottom of your crisper drawer for 3 weeks and then throw it in the garbage.
That is just brutal to think about.
When you throw away food, you are throwing away all the water, fuel, and land that was utilized to grow it, and then sending it to a landfill where it will generate methane.
So reducing household food waste is arguably the single most impactful environmental action an individual consumer can take.
Absolutely. And it requires zero premium at the checkout line.
It is the great equalizer. It doesn't matter how technologically advanced or ecologically harmonious the farm is, if the final destination for the harvest is a trash can.
A very sobering point.
So the next time you are standing under the fluorescent lights of the grocery store, holding those two identical apples and agonizing over the labels, maybe the most important question to ask yourself isn't which of these systems is better for the world.
No, the most important question is simply, am I actually going to eat this?